Have you had anybody, any patient, even one, who after full vaccination has been rehospitalized for COVID?
We have not, and that's a very important thing to emphasize. These vaccines are very effective. They are 100% effective at preventing hospitalization and death, which is good news. But I do want to say that we were on a call with the state just on Friday communicating two concerns. Number one, in New Jersey, we are starting to see an increase in hospitalizations. In fact, we've had a significant 20 to 30% increase just over the last week or so in my hospital in the New York metro area. The second is that we're actually seeing a younger demographic being admitted, which could make sense from the standpoint of those folks not being vaccinated nearly as much as older folks. But the concern is that we were not seeing these levels of 50 to 59-year-olds, 40 to 49-year-olds. Admitted as we are now. Yeah. And that raises the specter of more severe variants. So there are still some things to be concerned about.
Yeah, many people have welcomed, college students have come back in many cases in person. And we're also seeing, I think, and you would agree with this, Doctor, it's not a political statement, kind of a burnout. There's a slight reopening and people are just, it's been a year and they're getting back out there. And so we are seeing a bit of a spread. But answer us this. Do you believe, as the data seems to indicate, that the vaccines are, if not as effective, almost as effective against not only the new strains we're seeing, but arguably new strains to come, because that's what all viruses throughout history have done. They've evolved.
Well, all indicators so far is that the vaccines are largely effective against the known variants. We do have a lower effectiveness noted in some studies, but all this does is really cause us to accelerate vaccination, because it's really a race against the rise of these new variants and the spread of more cases. So you're right to say that all this does is really make us accelerate as much as we can with vaccination. And as you mentioned, we did so this weekend and we will continue to do so.
And how do we still counter vaccine hesitancy? We are seeing this in parts of rural America. We're also seeing it parts of your base of people, Doctor, which is more urban. Obviously, we understand the African American community, probably rightfully so, given history, has maybe more of a reluctance in some cases. How do we counter this vaccine hesitancy? And are you seeing any give in that? People who may have been on the fence are saying, I wasn't sure, but you know what? All right, go ahead and give me the shot, Doctor.
You're right to call that out. And so we only have about 5% of people in the city of Newark fully vaccinated. Compare that to 15 to 20% nationally for the general population. And of course, we serve a majority minority community here. So you're right to call out hesitancy disproportionately in communities of color and urban communities. The one piece of good news, though, is that the Kaiser Family Foundation did a study and showed that there were relatively low rates of absolute hesitancy. In other words, I will never take this vaccine. Coming from communities of color. It's more about, I just want to wait and see. I want to see how my family, colleagues do with it, which means there's a lot of opportunity.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.